Welcome to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast, where we discuss cutting-edge techniques, industry trends, and business insights to take your fence or deck company to the next level and dominate your competition. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Danner, and also the owner and founder of Fence and Deck Marketers, which is a digital marketing agency that works exclusively with fencing and decking businesses. Today, I have a really exciting show for you. I have Johnny Irwin from Revive Home Tips and Revive Media. So he's a big deal in the social media world, and he's got a pretty cool story that we're going to be diving into and diving into some of his strategies and what he's got going on. But Johnny, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. How's it going, man?
Good, Alex, man. I appreciate you taking the time. This will be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And so everybody listening knows kind of a little backstory. So we went to, my team and I went to Deck Expo and had a great experience there. And we're just at, I think it was a Timber Tech event, just at some bar down in Dallas. And just randomly got to talking with Johnny. And I believe it's someone that works with you. I can't remember the relationship.
Yeah. Ryan, who
Ryan,
brought him
that's
down
it.
with me. Yeah.
Ryan, okay. Yeah, so we talked to them for a while, and turns out Johnny has quite the social media following, and probably the biggest following of any person I met in person. So it was pretty cool to see, and we got to talking about different things, and I thought what better idea than to bring him on the podcast and talk about it, because he's grown just Instagram alone to 345,000 as of checking this morning, and he's just got all kinds of knowledge of how to stand out with social media, create cool videos, get a lot of engagement, really all kinds of stuff. So that's what we're going to be diving in here today. But to kind of start, Johnny, and it'd be great to know a little bit about your backstory, kind of how you ended up in this position, or starting this company and being this influencer, with social media.
Yeah. I mean, it all started because I'm one of 11. So I come from a huge family.
Peace.
Yeah, my dad was in the construction business. He had his own business that we all worked in. I have three other brothers. And so we started there, started working with him, ended up, going to school and kind of doing my own thing for a little bit, but I knew I wanted to start my own business. So my brother Sam and I ended up partnering and started a construction company, mostly focusing on decks and fencing. So we worked together in that. It worked for a while. You know how it can be. I don't know if do you have siblings?
Yeah, I'm one of four.
One of four, yeah. So you know how it can be with siblings. We worked together. We didn't work together. We were,
Yeah.
and we worked. Ended up building a business. Started taking videos of our projects. And the funny thing is actually like one of the first videos Sam made was on a project, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. Like, we need to focus on this project. We need to get this thing done so we can move on to the next one. It's just looking back at it, I don't know what I was thinking, but that was my mindset at the time, right? But if you want to fast forward that a little bit, about 5 years later, we started making videos of our projects, and it's escalated to the fact that now he has Go Build Stuff. I have Revive Home Tips, two influencers on social media with over 5 million followers across the platforms. And we have a media company now. And what we do is we create videos for brands because we're really good at creating content in the home space. It's good at getting attention.
Gotcha. Okay. So what were you building, I guess, leading up to that? What was the construction company doing?
Well, when we were working with my dad, it was everything from roof down to basements. Sam and I focused specifically, our niche was exteriors and like painting fences and exteriors, and then decks. And then decks became our specialty, like specifically like doing decks, deck repair, composite. That's
Nice.
like when we were going full steam, that's what we were focused on.
Okay. And I guess your brother started creating social media posts, and then did he just keep doing and said like, shut up, Johnny, like I'm going to do it anyways. And then he started building a following, and then, then you're like, oh, like you're kind of like, oh, this does work. Or, I mean, how did you guys transition when you were like, oh man, this works, and like, this is cool and, fun to do, I guess, and making money off
I
of
mean,
it?
Right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it pretty much started with the fact that he started making videos, and I was like, you know what, that's a good idea. We can start using these videos to start promoting our brand and try and get more business that way. But I've tried creating other social media pages before that completely flopped
Yeah.
prior to this. One of the big things that hit was TikTok, right? And that whole craze that happened there, right? And my brother Sam and myself, he was like, why would I watch this content when I can start making my own and see if I can get something rolling? And I was like, all right, well, let's do that. Let's both create, he did it. He created his page. I created my page. And in the beginning, like our big focus was creating content that we could post on our pages because, I mean, like a lot of construction companies, like in the home improvement space, they typically do like before and after photo. It's mostly just pictures, right?
Yeah.
Um, but we realized that creating content of videos of the projects themselves, things that are actually happening, was creating way more attention. You know, in the beginning, I mean, it was, nothing. It was like, no one would watch the videos, or maybe you get like one like or one comment, somebody. But now, fast forward that continuing to work on that craft over 5 years, we get over 100 million views every single month. We average over like 500,000 views on
Jeez.
a post that gets posted on those platforms. And like, we're not a celebrity. I figured like only celebrities could grow it to this size, but creating reels on all those different platforms, TikTok coming about, all those things, along with just a bunch of hard work and late nights. Like, I think anyone can really create that kind of presence on social media if they were determined.
Yeah. And it's hard to do. I mean, like, or it's not easy to do, like learn how to do all that and like getting actually good at it. Like, I mean, most people have a hard enough time like figuring out how to record a video just like in front of their face, let alone, I'm sure, well, I've seen what you guys do. You have all kinds of cool stuff, but different angles and like if I'm sure you use very nice equipment and things like that to create. Or maybe I'm wrong. That was actually one of my questions too. Like when you're creating the content, are you using sophisticated equipment or are you using like an iPhone? I mean, how does that typically work?
Yeah, the funny thing is because of how developed phones have become, like Google Pixel Pro, right? Like that the camera on that thing is awesome, especially for short form content. So reels from 15 to 45 seconds, or maybe videos that are up to a couple minutes long, you could produce on your phone. Like anyone can do it, and you don't have to go spend tens of thousands of dollars on equipment. I mean, yeah, we have other equipment that we use, and we have GoPros, and we have other things that we like film on, but it just started with just the phone, and I still use my phone all the time to
Yeah.
create content. I mean, if you're creating like longer form content, then yeah, you're gonna want a GoPro or some other like piece of equipment that you can take for YouTube, which is more vertical, right?
Yeah.
But most of the attention right now in our space is short form content, and it doesn't have to be fancy. Like, one of the things that like I feel like I've talked to a lot of people that want to start making videos, whether it's for their construction company or their brand or whatever it is, but they're like, I'm not good enough. And I was like, yeah, well, neither was I when I started,
Yeah.
like you just gotta, it's really just like starting to try it and figure it out and make a bunch of mistakes and realize that in the beginning, nobody really watches your videos anyways. So like it's a great time to
Yeah.
learn,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's a good point. um, I think, well, I know for a fact, at least a lot of guys that are probably listening to that, they just don't know where to start and they don't know what to do. And even for myself, like I started seriously doing it, where I was posting like almost once a day. We've fallen off. We're getting back together. Deck Expo derailed some things, but um,
Right.
once a day was probably like a year ago. That's when we kind of really started doing it. And
Okay.
the whole process just sounded daunting to me. Like I just didn't feel like I had the time to do it. And I'm sure I could have made the time, but one thing that really helped, and what I see other guys doing, is having somebody to like help facilitate the process in some way. Whether it's an existing employee or just like a VA or just anybody. Like the point where I do it in my videos aren't all like that unique. They're not like the best videos, but if I have somebody that I can just take the video to and he kind of edits it and makes it look good and then posts it, that's where I was able to say like every day Tuesdays I do all my recording. I already did it today, and it's like not such a time suck. But if you're better at creating videos, then maybe you can just kind of do it yourself like you did. Um, I don't know. I guess it depends on the person, the business, that kind of thing. What do you think?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it can really just start with like a very basic level, yourself, a phone, and willing to be sitting there at night editing your video that you made during the day. Right. But like, all right. So for your process, right? So you said about a year ago, you started, you're like, all right, I'm going to start posting once a day.
Yeah, close
What
to it.
made you
Yeah,
want to
pretty
do that?
close. Um, I mean, I just want to grow. Well, really, omnipresence is the whole thing. I wanted to be seen everywhere. We already do a ton of advertising, and um, that was just one of those things where I was just like, we need to be posting consistently. And Fence and Deck Marketers is all was based on like value first. So I'm like, I want to. That's why we do the podcast. We do webinars, social media. I was like, we'll be the same thing. I'll come up with things that will just help guys, like little tidbits to help them. The only problem is it's not the most entertaining stuff a lot of times. So I'm trying to work on that to make it a little bit more entertaining. But that was kind of where our head was at a year ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great step because a lot of people struggle with that one, right? Is like, all right, I know I need to make content, but actually starting to do it because that's like one of the hardest things.
Yeah.
And what have you seen like since you've like been that dedicated and like, all right, we're gonna start posting way more? Like, what differences have you seen on social media with your business?
I think it just helps with like staying top of mind. I mean, it's led to a lot of relationships too, which has been cool with people inside the industry. And for that, I'm sure it's led to quite a few leads. I wouldn't say it's like a powerful lead generator, but the whole idea is to be seen everywhere where they're like, oh, this guy I keep seeing everywhere. That's like kind of what I'm going for, but also not because of my like salesy content, but like content that actually is like meant to help is kind of what I'm going for.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, if you can go for like something that's useful and helpful for people, that can be huge. And like you said, omnipresence is massive. Because if nobody knows who you are, how are you going to have a business, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. We struggle with that for sure in the beginning with our business. And the content really pushed that. It pushed leads,
Yeah.
like we got leads and jobs out of it because we would make a video and then I don't know if you're on Facebook at all, but like there's all these
Yeah.
Facebook groups. Like what's happening for us is like what's happening in Wheaton, what's happening in DuPage County, whatever, right? And so you could create that content, post it on your page, and maybe not a lot of people see that, but then you could share it to those what's happening groups
That's a
and
good
be
idea.
like, hey, you can get a free estimate here,
Yeah.
and like specifically for like contractor wise, that was a ton of free leads. Like
Yeah.
I already have my phone, I already have the Facebook page, and it was a way to generate leads at no cost.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen people do that. And then like next door, they'll say like, they follow those groups. This is usually like the smaller companies, but it's a great way to get free leads too. If you're part of these groups and someone's like, oh, I need a fence or a deck guy, you can reach out or you can have a friend reach out and say like, these guys are the best and, check out their website or something like that. Um,
Yeah, next
that's also been pretty helpful for them.
yeah, next door is super helpful too, right? Because it gets more specific to I think even next door all the way down to like the neighborhood almost, right? Like
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's all neighborhood based.
yeah, yeah. We've. I mean, I think it's having the presence on all of them, right? Next door, getting lead generation through like what you guys do, posting
Yeah.
on social media, sharing to those groups. Like you said, you want to be everywhere so that people can find you and you can drum up business.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
for
I think
sure.
but like you said, I think it's like it's a daunting task, especially if you're a smaller
Hmm.
business trying to figure out how you're going to do it. And so like what you said, you have somebody that edits your videos, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That probably makes a huge difference.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I legit just don't think I have the time to, unless I wanted to work like very late nights all the time. Like, I'm sure I would get very good at it, but for me personally, I was like, I don't even want to do it. Like, I just don't want to have to do it personally. So when I had somebody do it for me, it also just made it much easier. And then also he gives me feedback on like things to do differently or better. So it's kind of nice having someone to help you. Like I guess you and your brother, you probably had all kinds of feedback in that, in that regard.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, now we have a team, right? So there's that that all works on it. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um, yeah, I mean, but also like, yeah, like you said, you could do it all yourself. If you break it down, it's not that hard necessarily. Like you say, if you were going to work on a job and then you were to set up a tripod, like, it doesn't have to be all of these angles. You don't have to go super crazy. But maybe if you're working with somebody else, they could hold the phone while you show this one thing real quick. Like try to keep it as simple so it doesn't feel like it's like quote unquote wasting your time on the job.
yeah,
Right. And then you spend like half an hour at night, maybe editing that video real quick. Right. And then you could set it up to post it so that it posts tomorrow while you're on the job. Like
yeah,
there's ways that I feel like a lot of people feel like they don't have enough time, but there's tons of ways that you could cut it down and make it simple. Um,
yeah.
but I would say like one thing that like I've tried and definitely failed is like trying to build out like for SEO stuff. Like that's where hiring out somebody like makes a huge difference. Like, building a website, having someone else build the website, etc. Like those kind of things. You can try and do it yourself, but like would you say like your main thing is lead generation through SEO or is it through Google Ads? How does that work exactly?
It's all of it, man. Yeah, we do. I mean, we do the website's like foundation. That's what I always say because it is, like you can't build a nice looking deck without getting the foundation figured out first. Um,
Right.
so that SEO, Google Ads, Facebook ads. We do some social media stuff too, but yeah, those are kind of the main pillars. Those I
Okay.
always recommend. But
Do you guys run ads on social media at all or is it mostly
yeah,
on Google?
yeah, we do Facebook and Instagram. So and that's what we've noticed a lot with the ads. With Facebook ads, I mean, they're great for omnipresence and like getting your brand out there. The quality of lead is usually not as good as like a Google lead, just because basically with I don't know, you guys could have a different perspective, but with Google, that's typically when they're like, "Hey, I need a fence or deck guy. Like, I need to find somebody. I'll go to Google and look for it." Facebook can be that way, but it's typically like you're going there to like scroll around and you got to kind of target them and get those ads to get them to want to click and sign up. So in that regard, that's we still run them a lot, but it's the quality is usually not as good that we see compared to Google.
Right. That makes a lot of sense though, because like you're kind of hitting them blindly on Facebook or Instagram. They're maybe not necessarily looking for someone yet.
Hmm.
But on Google, they're actually searching for, hey, I need an estimate for my deck
Yeah,
or a fence or et cetera, right? And then you can target them that way. But like you said, like the idea is that you want that attention. You want them to, they want you want to see it, have them see you on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. And then when they go to search you, they're like, oh yeah, that's right, I recognize that company. Like,
yeah,
right, like that all works. And I think that's what we see a lot for brands we're working with because I mean we do services and products, and for it totally depends on who you're working with. But the big thing about social media is pushing attention, getting brand awareness and everything like that. And then you get into like SEO and lead generation, and that's more sales based, right? Lead and getting leads specific
yeah.
for
Yeah.
brands.
Yeah. I mean, they did like a study that said like when people are looking for a service-based business, it was 87% of the time they went to Google. So like that's probably going to be mixed up here with AI, but like if that's like the direct need, that's what they'll do. But that's why I love social media is because it's like there was another study on that. It was like the average person goes on there like I don't know if it's like 8 or 13 times a day, something crazy. So that everybody's on there, like they want to be on there. That's where they, get that dopamine hit or whatever. But
Oh yeah, it's addicting.
yeah, yeah,
I constantly catch myself scrolling on stuff,
yeah,
and I'm like, all right, I need to get focused. I need to get this thing. But I'm like, oh, this is a cool video, right?
yeah.
That I,
I'm sure it's yeah, for you. It's even worse because well, I mean, at least yours is part of the business, so I guess it's better. You're actually learning new stuff and probably taking ideas from it.
oh yeah, I mean that's what I tell myself. It definitely is for part of it, right? But then
Yeah,
part of it's just like just going down that rabbit hole because they're really good at feeding you things that you want to watch, right?
yeah. Well, that was something I was curious about. Like for guys that have a contracting business, is there any like top ideas of videos you would recommend creating that typically get a lot of traction? I mean, something they could start with.
Yeah, showing the actual process.
Okay.
There's so many people, if let's say if they do have a social media presence, I mean, a lot of small businesses don't even have that, right? But if they do, and if they are posting, it's usually before and after photos,
Yeah.
which is helpful for the people that are really interested and actually want to see what it looks like because they're thinking about doing it. But for your majority of people, um, they just don't care as much necessarily. And actually showing a video, and videos are so huge now, right? Like, see, it's got to be a mix, but ours is heavily focused on videos. Showing a video of actually the process of you doing that project, right? So like if you're doing a deck, like actually showing the demo, actually showing how you're installing the frame, how are you laying the boards down, what products are you using, right? Those are all good things to show the customer
Okay.
or the
So
potential customers.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I see your videos. That's what it is. I mean, you probably know Dr. Dex. I follow him too. He's got a big following as well. And it seems like that's what you guys are doing. And when you kind of think of it that way, it's like, I mean, it's really not that hard to just like show what you're doing. And I guess I had this problem. I thought like all my videos needed to be some like great elaborate video that were like so perfect, but in reality, like it's kind of a numbers game, is what I've learned almost. Like if you're consistently doing it, it's probably pretty hard. Maybe you probably have it more dialed in, but it's to me, it's hard to find the ones that are like really gonna take off and have a lot of views versus not. It's like almost you kind of luck into it if you're on a smaller scale like I am. I don't know. How would you put that, I guess? Like, are you pretty calculated about it, or you just put stuff out and you are surprised by how well they do?
We're yeah, we're a lot more calculated now and there's
Okay.
more consistency. But in the beginning, I mean, it's pretty much like buying lottery tickets, right?
Yeah.
Like free lottery tickets. So this could hit,
Yeah.
right? And I think the hardest thing is just starting. Just do it. Just like it doesn't have to be, you don't have to like carve out an entire day. You just carve out half an hour,
Yeah.
or an
Put it on the
hour.
calendar. That was a
Right.
key for me. Like every day or every week for half a day or 2 hours, whatever, just create content. Even 1 hour to start, whatever. But like Tuesdays from 9 to usually like 11 is when I'm creating content or doing a podcast. But the social media part usually takes like under an hour to create the
Right,
video.
exactly. But
Yeah.
thinking about it and like people have the anxiety of it or all these other things, or I don't want to be on camera or
Yeah.
whatever, is built up from what I've seen, at least my experience, it's built up way more in your head than it really
Yeah.
matters. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and the other part is like you said, it doesn't have to be this crazy elaborate thing and it doesn't have to be perfect. Some of our best videos is when like a mistake happens or something like that. Some people are afraid to show that, but that's real. Like we run into those situations all the time. Like especially like if you have a contracting business, like you run into things all the time. You're like, all right, well, we got to figure this out, or that didn't go exactly as planned. So now we got to fix this thing.
Yeah.
Like that's so actually like authentic and real. And I think that makes a huge difference versus always looking super polished and super perfect and all of these things. And like you said, it's a numbers game too. Like we post every single day.
Yeah. That's interesting because I think everybody has that thought. Like you can't show, I guess you have to have a line, you don't want to show a big screw up or something, but like just showing little things where you're like, oh, well, we ran into this today because we found all this rot and we had to like redo our whole process, or like just things you don't expect. Is that kind of
Right.
what?
Like this, right. Yeah. Like the substructure of this joist is rotten. So
Yeah.
like, you know, whatever, if you took a hammer or your finger, like if it's soft enough, right, you took your finger and you just poked it through and it just fell apart. Like that's super satisfying to
Yeah.
watch.
That's a cool
And
video.
then you could show replacing it and then in the caption, right, like this is what we do or whatever, you know. And we're great at repairing this. And sometimes you run into surprises. So like, yeah, showing mistakes is totally fine. And you want the hey, people are gonna I'm sure you've kind of where people are just gonna post and they're gonna be negative towards you
I'm
no
sure
matter
I
what.
don't have that many followers, but every once in a while, I mean, yeah, I don't think we have the numbers to get too much hate.
Yeah, it happens sometimes, even if like in the beginning it really bothered me, and then I realized that they're actually helping me because they're helping push the video and making it bigger and adding more engagement to the video. And so
Yeah.
now No, I like to hate. I like to hate. Say thank you to the haters. You know, like
Yeah, that's good. I mean, how many comments do you typically, or like, what's the range you'd say you get on your posts?
it really varies on the videos and more controversial or things happening where a lot of people in the trades are going to argue over this tool versus that tool. You know, like
Yeah,
oh, you shouldn't do this or that. Like there's a lot of what do they call them? Keyboard experts
yeah,
or
yeah.
something like
Keyboard
that,
warriors.
right? Yeah, keyboard warriors. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you get thousands of comments. Sometimes it gets um, a handful or like several hundred. It depends on the video and the
Yeah,
platform.
yeah. That's wild. Do you respond to all those? I mean, do you keep track of it pretty good?
We used to when
Yeah,
we were
because it gets pretty
smaller.
hard. Yeah,
Yeah, now like we try to like engage on the videos a little bit, but like yeah, I'm not spending. It would take me all day to sit there and respond to
yeah,
everybody.
yeah,
But we will like if we work with brands, like oftentimes like if we add them as tag them or add them as a collaborator. I mean, say we're working, I don't know, whatever, Danco or some tool company or DAP. Like you know how you were saying,
mhm,
sometimes the content, like the idea itself is kind of boring. Like caulk is pretty boring, right?
mhm.
Right. But if you can make an entertaining video that people want to watch and share and like and then incorporate that like boring part into it, then you can create a lot of attention around a boring product.
Yeah. That's a super satisfying one too. I mean, like, who doesn't like a nice clean edge, with caulk? So you could probably get to do something with that too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like a lot of the brands we work with aren't like this isn't fashion and influencing. Like there's no, it's
Yeah,
nothing like nothing's crazy, necessarily exciting, but we can create exciting videos with that featured product.
yeah,
And I think that's where a lot of people get lost, is because they're like, "Oh, this is boring. How can I make this entertaining?" And it's like, all right, try to make a really cool video. Why would someone want to share this video and then incorporate that?
yeah. Well,
You know,
how long do you typically make them? I guess, like, I know kind of the restrictions on like between reels. I think it's like 90 seconds on Instagram and TikTok. I don't know. You would know better, but I mean, how do you plan that? I guess, when you're playing your videos time wise.
yeah, most of our videos are short form contents, whether it's reels or shorts, and on the platform you're posting them on. But typically they're somewhere between 15 and 45 seconds long.
Okay.
Um, I mean, we've created content as short as 3 seconds. We've created content as long as,
Wow.
several minutes. But in this short attention span, I don't know, economy we have with, you gotta, no matter how long the video is, like the first 3 seconds, right? The hook has to be good. Like it's got to grab their attention. Um, and then, we typically post those shorter form videos on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and TikTok. And we also post them on, threads, or we're starting to get into X and starting to get into Pinterest. Like the goal is, where's the attention?
Yeah.
What apps are people going on?
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at that. You said you started with TikTok, but I think your following is biggest on Instagram. Is that right?
Depends on the channel. I want to say Facebook and TikTok, and then Instagram are the largest.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so we post it on Facebook and TikTok, and then incorporated Instagram and YouTube. Yeah, I mean they're all around the same time ish. Um, but getting down to like consistently posting the same. That's the other thing. Like we'll take the same video and we'll cross post it to all of the platforms, because there's different viewers and different followers and different people on all of those. Some people feel like they have to create a different piece of content for each platform.
Yeah.
And to me, that's way too time consuming.
Yeah. Particular.
Sometimes we'll post different stuff to different platforms, or we'll change it. That's an easier way of doing it. Change this piece of content a little bit. Maybe it's over a minute on TikTok, but on Instagram it's 35 seconds, and on Facebook it's 45 seconds. YouTube, it could be cut down to 25 seconds. It depends on the platform.
I gotcha. And then do you use any software to post the content automatically, or do you manually upload it?
Manually. I've done it where we scheduled it out before, but I don't know. I just feel like posting it on each individual platform, even though it takes a little bit longer, has been mostly the easiest because I mean you can schedule out Facebook and Instagram, and if you but you have to go on your computer in order to schedule out TikTok, right? And then you can schedule out YouTube. So you can set it up so that you schedule them all ahead of time. And we do that sometimes with content. It depends on who we're working with and what our schedule is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we batch post it. I'd have to ask my guy. I'm not really sure what we use at this point. He might even do a manual. I'm not even sure but that's the beauty of having it kind of removed. It's one less thing I got to think about, um,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I know which software do you use to edit the videos? Is it on your phone or do you bring it on your computer? I mean, how do you put all these different clips together?
A combination. On the computer, it's Power Director, right? And that's usually if we're getting into mostly longer, like anything over a minute to 3 minutes, just because it's much easier to take that many clips and break them down. I mean, for instance, to give you an example, right, we did a build of a play set and we took 100 hours of video and cut it down to 5 minutes.
Wow.
So like Power Director is going to be a lot easier on that on your computer. For shorter form videos, usually your Power Director has an app where you can use InShot or CapCut on your phone, and those are fine. Because for us, it's more like doing the cuts. We're not adding a ton of special effects to our videos. So there might be zoom in or zoom outs or shakes here, and then making sure you cut it enough. But we're not, right? We don't go crazy with like fairy dust or like this lens. We'll change the raw like B-roll and we'll edit it for the lighting, right? So we're gonna make this a little bit brighter. We're gonna make this a little bit sharper. This is gonna show a little bit more color, etc. But
Gotcha. Yeah, it's funny you said the swing set because I literally had one delivered today for my kids. So maybe I literally,
yeah,
it literally just came in the mail like an hour or two ago. Maybe I should do
nice.
a video on it.
What'd you get?
Um, I don't know. Some kind of swing set. I mean, it's just one we got from Home Depot, so it's like
Okay.
got some slides and swings on it. I don't know much
Yeah,
else about it, I guess.
it's a kit though, right? So you can just
Yeah,
put it
yeah,
together. Yeah.
yeah. I got to put it together. I'm probably gonna wait till spring, but I gotta check all the parts. They said a lot of times they don't come with all the parts, so I'm gonna do that and then probably put it off till March or something like that.
That's fun though. Yeah, we when we built the one that we built, it was off of an idea of a kit and then off of some other plans and then redesigned. We redesigned the whole thing down to every single screw,
Oh, so you made a
which
custom
took
one.
and made a custom
Oh, that's
playset. Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
that
it was
safe.
yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of work. Redesign and engineering, like just the entire rebuild of the entire thing to figure it out and then plan it out and then actually build it.
That would be super fun though. I'm sure that was a blast to think about all the different like cool things the kids would like to do. I guess
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. I guess
yeah. It was a lot of fun.
everyone listening to this is definitely plenty handy, I would imagine, to do something like that. I'm probably the only one that I probably figured out it would just take 100 times longer than everyone else. But
I'm the same way. I was the least handy out of my brothers.
really,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I have a lot more knowledge now, but at that time, yeah, back in the day, yeah, and
yeah,
they're kind of surprised that I even got into the trades as far as the actual handy stuff goes. Um, but
yeah.
yeah, Sam, like he's the one that is way more construction oriented and knows how to build. He's better at that stuff. I'm better at the doing the marketing and uh, everything else.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, one thing on the post I want to see, like, do you have any kind of process for like planning it out? I mean, would you recommend kind of how I do it, or is there a better way to kind of plan out the content, kind of like how you do? Because I'm sure, you know, like me, I can set it to, I just do my content, here in my office, whereas you're out and about in different scenarios. So is there any kind of like planning process recommendations you could give to guys? We're
Yeah. Do you ever go out and about to make your videos?
very rarely. I mean, that's what I mean. I want to get more like unique content. I guess now we're pretty consistent otherwise, but I guess out and about like a little bit, but nothing like that's what you guys are doing.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know how your customer base works, but like, do you have guys like companies you work with, like contractors that you work with that are in your area?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like a cool idea would be like going on site and taking videos,
That would be cool.
like mix it up almost that's some other things. But as far as planning the content goes, it all starts with what is the goal of it, and then understanding the product or service that we're using or this build or whatever we're doing. And a big part of that is actually just research, like going on and finding similar videos, like what performed really well consistently on different platforms. So there's a lot of research that goes into like how are we going to make this video, what's done well, you know what I mean? Like you're not
Hmm.
necessarily trying to reinvent the wheel. You're like, let me cut that part down. Let me find someone who already built a wheel and see if I can create a video around that that's similar but different.
Yeah. So you're looking at like real views, like number of views, and seeing like what went viral for them, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
an easy thing to look up would be like, say you're whatever. I'll use a hammer. Um, Type hammer in TikTok and filter by most views,
Okay.
right? If you're talking about SEO stuff, type in SEO or whatever into TikTok and sort it by best views, and then do the same thing on YouTube. There are softwares and different things that you can use and buy to research those things, but I typically just go into the platforms themselves. Instagram and Facebook are harder to do that, but just the way that their search engines are set up on their um, social media platforms. But they're another. That's part of the reason why I get into the scroll, because you get into the scroll, you find videos that crushed it, that has whatever 10 million, 50 million views or whatever it is, and you can save that, and then you can use that or for your next video. Like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do a video with this hammer. Here's some ideas of that did really well. What are the angles? What are the first 3 seconds? Are there any like captions in the description? Are there any captions on the actual video itself? Like there's so many aspects
Yeah.
that we could totally just dive into and talk about, and that could make a world of a difference in whether a video does well or not.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like that. I mean, that rather than completely guessing, just actually find what's working. I definitely don't do that kind of research for ours, but obviously I should be. Um,
Yeah, it's a really easy way to see what's already working, and and then copying that but your own style.
yeah.
Um, you know, versus like, I mean, there's accounts out there that just repost tons of videos of people that have already created. It drives me nuts, uh, but yeah, making your own version.
Yeah.
I
Um,
mean, what do you guys do when you're planning out your content?
um, I mean, I sit down and just think of different ideas of like new things that would be helpful. I mean, that's really all I think of like what usually it's just something that I experienced the past week that I like really stood out that a lot of the times it's like something that I saw move the needle a lot, so like a lot of things there would be like hacks kind of stuff that people aren't doing that if you did would move the needle quickly. I try to do as many of those as possible. Um, and then, I got all kind of do like obviously the holiday posts. I was doing some today for that, promoting events, like Deck Expo, Nadra Summit, that kind of stuff. So there's probably other types. I do some personal development stuff. That's like real big with me. I'm pretty obsessed with all that. So I started doing posts about that too, which was cool. There's probably a
Yeah,
lot of stuff, but yeah, that's kind of
that's a good point right there. Like the personal development stuff, right? Like that's not necessarily what you're selling, right? But it's a great way to create content that you enjoy,
hmm.
right? That gets people's attention
Yep.
and brings you back to and brings them back to your page. And I think a lot of people are stuck on like they're too sales forward is
Yeah.
really what it comes down to. Like they're acting like like this is all so new, right? Just taking a step back, right? Because like before, like how are you going to market prior to this? You're either making a commercial online, sorry, not online,
Pages.
on TV, right? If you have the money, I mean, those are big budget stuff. You're on the radio, your mail, like your new mail
Yellow pages.
flyers, yellow pages, right? Or door to door, which we
Mhm.
did a lot of that actually, which is very effective, but people don't
Yeah,
like it.
it works today
Uh,
too. A lot of guys use that still. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it makes a huge difference. I mean, I think I've knocked on over like 10,000 doors. And, uh,
I'll get you used to it.
yeah, I mean, you just get used to no, right?
Yeah.
Just a bunch of no's. But like that's a really easy one even now today. Like if you're working on this person's house, having someone knock on all the houses in the neighborhood and being like, "Hey, we're
Yeah.
working for so and so. Do you want a free estimate?" You know, because people like, I mean, you have a house, right?
Hmm.
You're always looking for contractors to do work, and if somebody's working next door, like I actually just saw someone working next door to my house, and I got their number because I was looking to do a project.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but
Some guys forget that. A friend of mine has a roofing company who did our roof, and my neighbors were asking me like who was doing it because they were thinking about it. I texted them. I was like, "You got to have yard signs, man. Like you got to let them know that you're the one doing it. Um, that way they can look at it, whenever, and hopefully, I mean, there's data to back it up that they work. So there's really it's not like they're expensive either. You just kind of throw one up there. So
oh yeah, they make a huge difference. And like tying that back, like before it was commercials on TVs, and now it's people think it's commercials on social media, and so they try to get too sales focused versus creating something cool, like what you were saying, or making something motivational or something unique that people want to watch, and then tying it also into your brand.
yeah. Well,
And with
good.
oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just, I mean, this is like a little bit of a tangent, but I was just curious, like, because you mentioned grabbing their attention, like in the beginning, that hook or whatever. That part kind of confuses me, quite honestly. I'm sure I'm not the only one. How do you do that? I guess, so you like grab their attention fast.
Yeah, first 3 seconds have to be something that's gonna get them to say, "What was that? What's going on? Is this helpful?" What like ask and like be interesting, and you're giving them a tidbit, but you're not giving them the whole piece of cheese. Like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? So like, um, for instance, like say we were building something, you'd show like a really close up of a drill doing this specific thing, and like whatever. I just made a video of turn scraps into a Christmas tree, right? And so the first part of the video is a close up of the pieces of wood stacked into a formation of a Christmas tree, and the caption is like it literally says like scraps into Christmas tree, and then it cuts to how that got built. So it grabs their attention. They want to see what happened, but they want to know how was it built? What does it look like in the end, right? If that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Yeah, no, it does. So it's almost like a picture that's just like the beginning, and then you kind of go to the video, or is it like you're just zooming out and then how does that typically work?
Yeah, it's the cover photo. So like if you were gonna
Okay.
post a video, a reel, like for instance on Instagram, when you go to post that video, you go to the next and then you can edit the cover photo, and it can be any part of the video that you can choose, or you can upload your own video or sorry, your own picture.
Okay.
So like if you wanted text on the cover photo but not on the whole video, you can take a picture of the project that you're working on, or what I'll do is I'll go into the video itself and I'll go to a certain spot that I really like, and I'll screenshot that into a picture, and then I'll upload that onto like if you go on Instagram, cover photo, and then maybe add some text like three best ways to repair a wall,
Yeah.
and then it cuts into the actual video showing all those things. Because like you want to hook people and you want to get their attention, but you don't want it to be clickbait. You don't want it to be like, this is the best thing ever. And then it's just like mediocre,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
It's a disappointment.
Right, exactly. So there's like it's definitely a learning curve trying to figure out how do I get their attention? How do I make this accurate and entertaining and exciting, but not too exciting that they're gonna start watching the video and be like, and I'm out, because you also want to keep their attention, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so if somebody was getting started, how often would you recommend them post? Like if they're like, I want to get going, like what would you recommend starting with frequency?
Frequency wise, I mean, it depends on how fast they grow. If they want to grow every day,
Yeah.
multiple times a day. I mean, we've had it set, I've had it set it up with multiple posts, up to 3 posts a day. But if you want to be like honest about like
Yeah. I
a
guess
good spot
realistic,
to
if they're going
start,
from nothing, to starting.
yeah, I mean, once a week would be a good way to start.
Okay.
Um, but I really think it wouldn't be that hard to do a couple days a week,
Yeah.
especially if you're already doing the thing, you already have the business, you're doing the project or the product, etc. Um, and just start taking videos of it. Start watching other videos of something that's similar and seeing what's done really well so you can mimic that and then start learning. Because like a lot of what we did in the beginning was mimicking it was our own version, but mimicking things that did really well. And now we have a much better sense of like, all right, I know that this video could do well based on all this knowledge previously. I'm not just like guessing at this point, right? It's
Yeah.
strategic and it's planned. But a really easy way to start is just seeing and finding videos that do well.
Okay. All right. Well, I wanted to talk about your media company and kind of give a little backstory. I think everyone listening to this could tell you know what you're talking about, and you know the way social media works, better than anybody I know. But can you just touch on like um, Revive Media and I guess how it works? Like if somebody, I know you work with bigger brands, like you've helped bigger companies with selling their products, but maybe just touch on that, like who you typically work with, how that all works.
Yeah, so pretty much we have the media company in place because brands want attention and we're really good at it. And we've shown that by building up those 2 pages, right? They go build stuff in Revive Home Tips. And we work with startups to large brands. So it's across
Okay.
the valley, right? Or from big to small. But pretty much what we do is they want to there's different ways that they want to work with us. They want to collaborate with the 2 influencers. They want to do like a long-term partnership, or they want us to create videos for their brand, or they want us to consult to help with their social media platforms. Most typically, like again, I'm just going to use Hammer Simple. So like Ox Tools, for instance, right? We'll work with them because they have products that they want us to promote. And so they'll send us the tools. We'll create videos that are interesting and exciting around that product, and we'll post
Oh, cool.
monthly.
Okay. And do you bring them like to job sites and do stuff like that? Or I mean, how does that like, how do you put them into action, I guess?
Yeah, so I mean, like an easy one is like a pencil. Like you could show how it works. Like I know that you think that sounds boring, but like for instance, I made a video with an ox pencil where I poured water onto a piece of wood, and then I used a speed square and I marked that piece of wood straight line.
Okay.
And a lot of pencils will bleed out or different stuff, and like you won't be able to see the line, but this one particular, like it works really well and you can see it. So it's like that pen, like if someone's like, oh, sell me, that whole like classic thing of like, oh, sell me this
Yeah.
pen, but
Yeah.
sell me this pencil, like it's boring, but like, all right, here's a couple things that we did to make something that was boring exciting, and they got tons of comments and
Yeah.
tons of people shared it, and it made something that was very simple and boring exciting by pouring a piece of water onto a piece of wood. And what we used to do is we would incorporate everything into the projects that we were doing. And now what we do is the main focus is creating projects around those products and services. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, those videos aren't going to be boring to the guys you're trying to sell to as well, or, guys or girls that are actually doing that. So, um, especially if
yeah,
they've experienced that same problem, which that's probably why it went viral because everyone has that problem,
right.
So
'Cause you're working out in the rain, like it happens all the time, or
yeah,
something gets wet, like um, yeah, it's muddy, whatever. Like working in the trades, working outside in all kinds of weather gets messy.
yeah. So okay, so it's basically product companies, people that are selling tools, or that the majority of what you are helping, create videos for?
Yeah, our niche is all the home
Okay.
based. So we don't help promote like yoga pants or anything like that, right? But
Yeah.
our focus is um, all home, whether it's a tool or a service or a product, anything that can be related to the home in some way. That's kind of our niche.
Okay.
And the companies that create these products and services are really good at what they created, and we're just really good at being able to produce content around that to get the attention that they need because there's so much chaos on social media, and like we can help break through that chaos and create content. And I think a big thing that a lot of people struggle with, and I think I already said this, but I'll keep saying this, they're trying to sell you on every post. Instead, like you said, like you're trying to create videos that are helpful, that add
Yeah.
value, that people want to watch. That's what you want to create. And the other stuff will fall in. And yeah, you can still have like stories that are more product or service focused and like, oh, this come here to get a free estimate or come here to buy this product. And maybe you can post those every once in a while too. But the majority of it should be providing value or being helpful or entertaining or funny or odd or whatever. And
Right.
and including the product or service in there a little bit, or maybe not even at all, right? Like there's tons of videos that we produce where we're just producing videos because we think they're helpful or cool or whatever. And we're to try and keep that like level of authenticity and or being organic and still posting what we want to post.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
actually one of the things that we run into a lot with brands is they want a script and they want us to say all these things, and it's like, all right, you guys are really good at that, let us get the attention so that we can push them to you and then you can tell them about those things.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. It's not as straight, or at least that's what I've learned. It's not as straightforward to, well, to you it is, I guess, but someone that doesn't have the experience on like what to look for, it's very hard to come up with like what goes viral. Like what's in my head usually is not translate to like the results I would think it would. Yeah, so that's what
Mm.
someone like you guys to actually get the eyeballs, I guess. But I mean, as Johnny was saying, he has, I guess, across all platforms, it's 5 million followers. So you guys obviously know how to get attention and how to get people to look your way and how to promote companies. So, I mean, if somebody's listening to this that's interested in working with you guys to get more traction, I mean, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, the best way to reach out would just go to be revivemymedia.com or go you can go to revive home tips page.
On all channels, right? Instagram,
Yeah,
is it the
yeah,
same?
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all those. It's Revive Home Tips.
Okay.
Yep, it's
All
my
right.
channel. Like go build stuff is Sam's channel. But yeah, the media company's at the top of that. That's Revive Media.
Okay. Yeah. So if anybody's listening to this and is interested in, getting more people in front of the products you're doing, head over there. And anything, Johnny, else you'd like to add? Any thing you'd like to do? We're kind of getting a little long here. To close out, I guess. Anything you'd like to add?
I mean, I would just say like keep it simple. Know that starting to post and getting attention is the biggest thing and it's super important. Whether you're in the construction industry or you're in the product industry or service, you have different services online. Like everything is pushing towards social media. So posting and be okay with the fact that it's not going to be perfect. Like just start doing it and start learning so that each one can get better than the next one. And I guarantee if people like dedicate that for 6 months to a year, like of just doing that, taking a little bit of time each day, it can make a huge difference.
Yeah. Just keep building on that momentum, get started and then keep going. So that's what it kind of sounds like. All right. Well, yeah, Johnny, that's really all the questions I had. And I know I appreciate you coming on here for one and kind of sharing all this because, there's not many people that have huge followings. So it's cool to hear like kind of your story for one, but also what it takes and kind of what you're doing to get more followers. Because a lot of people come to us and saying, we need to do more social media. So this is going to be a really cool podcast for people to have to figure out what they can do a little bit differently to get going with it. But going forward with the Fence and Deck Mastery podcast. So we will be I've been doing we're back on schedule now. Thankfully from Deck Expo, we're doing about a weekly post and or weekly podcast. So this one we've had a couple in the queue. We'll be posting this one probably a week or so from when it was recorded. But that's kind of it. If you guys, anybody listening to this, if you like the content, review, subscribe to it. That's a big help for getting us ranking higher. And if you have any questions about your marketing, your digital marketing for your business, reach out to us, deckfencemarketers.com. We're on every social media channel. You can reach out there too: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And then we have a couple big webinars coming out that you may or may not have gotten emails to. But if you want to be a part of the digital marketing plan webinar that we do, where we basically lay out your entire marketing plan for 2025, reach out to us through the website and we can add you to the email list. But that is it, Johnny. I appreciate it again for coming on here, man. And yeah, we'll be sure staying in touch.
Awesome, Alex. Sounds good. Thanks for having me. It's fun.
All right, see ya.